So the first thing when you're talking about coverage, I think that you need to consider is what can our kicker and punter do? What goes into that? I think the marriage between what those guys can do and everything else is paramount, and it's not really a question of how do you like to cover first. It's really what can those guys do, and then how do we tailor our coverage to that. The things that are relevant, I really believe, is the direction, obviously the hang time, distance, the op times on punt, whatever. But the consistency is the biggest thing. Where can they put the ball on the field, and how consistently can they put it in that spot? The reason being is because, what are your guys tied to? Are they tied to field landmarks? Are they tied to the ball? To me, if your guy can't consistently put it in one place, then having your players be tied to field landmarks can be a little bit dangerous. We've all seen when guys lose track of the ball, they don't realize the ball was mishit, whatever it might be. Distance, wind can apply to your decision making in coverage in terms of, when you're thinking of engaging a block versus using the speed move, et cetera. So I think all those things play into how you build your coverage. And then lastly, what do they want to do? I think that's relevant too. Like, what are they good at is obviously the main thing, but what do they like and what do they feel like they're best at? Typically, what we found is guys are going to do a better job of things that they have a desire to be doing. So I think just the bottom line is being conscientious of those guys' abilities and their preferences, and then building it out from there, we believe is important here. It kind of goes without saying, all this stuff is just our opinions. There's a million great ways to play special teams, and these are just some of the things that have been helpful for us. Next would be, what can our cover guys do? So you're building that off of what the specialists do best. What kind of coverage guys do we have? Are they fast, really fast, disruptive guys that can win with speed? Are they heavier footed guys that are powerful and want to take on blocks? I think as you build your coverage, you got to know who you're working with and what they're best at. That's really that first bullet of their physical capabilities. And then after that, what is their mentality like? Are they read and react type guys? Are they more of thinkers? Do they want to know where to look and what to read? Or are they more just hair on fire, sending it, going to jack stuff up? You can kick butt with one or the other, or with a mix of both. And so being aware of where you're putting those guys and what you're asking them to do, making sure that you're getting great match quality is what we say, between the player and the job you're asking them to do. The quality of how well does this person's abilities match up with the job we're asking. And we move guys around a lot, but that's something we're always conscientious of, is trying to make sure that they can excel at the job we're asking them to do. Obviously, body type matchup, who are they going against? Is that a favorable one or not? Are we setting that player up for success? And then, what does the mental plate look like for that guy? I just included a visual here, but, some guys that are your veteran teams guys, they might be, have a kind of a dinner plate. If you think about it mentally, they can fit a ton on it. They can load it up. And they're just going to gobble it all up. Other guys, younger guys, maybe a new guy, a freshman, might be, one of a smaller plate or a saucer, so to speak, where there's a limited amount that they can handle, and you have to make sure that you're not gonna overdo it. And the other component to that I think is important is, for some guys on your team, special teams, is the main course. They're not playing a ton on offense or defense, and what you're asking them to do on fourth down, that's the main thing, and they love it and they take it seriously. But for other guys that are, maybe starters or 30, 40, snap per game guys on O or D, special teams for them is more like the dessert. And it's kind of the afterthought, even if they take it seriously, it's kind of secondary. And just being aware of, how much dessert you're asking that guy to have, and understanding that they might not give it the same, due diligence throughout the week because their role in offense or defense has expanded. So we try to be aware of those types of things again, just all about making sure that we're setting guys up for success. Next of the considerations, just questions to ask yourself as you're building, out your special teams, your coverage, or your game planning. What are we defending? What types of returns are we defending? What types of returners are we playing against? Are they vertical returns? Are they counters? Are they trying to make everything look the same? Are they really man oriented? Are there zone elements? Just really having a clear sense of like on our schedule, what are we going to see? So what do we need to defend? And then the types of returners, that varies week in and week out. Is it a guy who is north, wants to hit it hard downhill? He'll take any little crease that he can find, or is it a guy who's dying to get to the perimeter? Is it a guy who wants to reverse field? Is it a guy who trusts his blockers in front of him or not? I think there's nuance there where you can set your guys up for success if you can really inform them on what the returner that they're defending, what his personal preferences are. Next one would be go hand in hand with that is what are we inviting? So whatever you do from a coverage standpoint, punt coverage, kickoff coverage, there's a million good ways to do things, and every single philosophy, every single scheme has a weakness or something that you're inviting the other team to do. And we really believe that, you got to know those things. And as a coach, we all do, but it's important that the relevant players know those things. The examples that I could think of are like, if you're going to be a team who's hyper aggressive on kickoff and you're crossing face, going butt side and overloading the boundary, well, obviously you're inviting field returns, you're inviting counter returns. If you're a team that doesn't play with an edge on punt and you want to, cross the returner's face, they're going to try to get to the ball at the field. So I think just knowing what you're inviting and which players on your units that it affects, it's helpful to make sure that they know those things. The same way you would talk to your defense about, hey, we're a cover 3 team, that what the stressors to this coverage are, et cetera. So I think there's a good opportunity in special teams to gain an edge in that way.